Well, meanwhile, China's Ministry of Commerce has made a formal proposal to slow the pace of the yuan's appreciation and increase export tax rebates to prevent a sharp drop in the country's exports. The recommendation, made in a report to the State Council, followed a 12% decline in China's trade surplus in the first half from a year earlier, fueling worries about an economic slowdown in the country. Last week, the State Council asked the Ministry of Commerce to report on China's first half trade performance and make some suggestions. In the report, the ministry highlighted the challenges faced by Chinese exporters, including a stronger yuan, increasing input costs, and the constricting effects of a tight monetary policy. China's top economic planner began on Monday to solicit public opinions on a revised draft regulation aimed at improving the transparency of public hearings to set prices. The National Development and Reform Commission released the revised version on its website on Monday. According to the newly revised regulation, at least a third of the attendees at a public hearing to set prices must be normal citizens. The draft regulation also states for the first time that public hearings must permit media coverage and the presence of outside observers. China started implementing its first regulation regarding public hearings to set prices in 2001. And at that point, the regulation stipulated that prices of electricity, railway and flight tickets, among others, should be determined only after a public hearing was set. Now, public opinion will be solicited for the latest version of the regulation until July 23rd. China's top economic planning agency has urged local governments to take measures to keep prices at acceptable levels and to improve public pricing service systems. The National Development and Reform Commission ordered local governments to keep a closer eye on the spillover effects of last month's increases in fuel and power prices. The NDRC warns that rising business costs and natural disasters and the resulting pressure on prices to rise remain strong. The Commission requires price authorities at all levels to try to control prices within a range that's considered tolerable for economic and social development. The NDRC specifically requires local governments to control the prices of grain, fertilizer, coal, and other items that are deemed essential for daily life. The China Securities Regulatory Commission has issued a new regulation on what it calls compliance management of securities companies for trial operation. The rules require all securities firms to have a compliance supervisor and establish systems for reporting irregularities effective August 1st. The CSRC will evaluate the compliance management of securities firms, which will be an important factor in classifying supervision on these firms. Compliance refers to securities companies and employees conducting operations and management in accordance with the law, administrative regulations, rules, and other standardization documents. They should also follow standardization and self-discipline rules imposed by the sector, internal regulations and systems, as well as professional, ethical, and behavioral standards. That's a lot of rules to follow. Well, the CSRC began trial operations in establishing compliance management systems at 6 securities companies in May of last year.